Getting started with MediaShout as your presentation software. That's what we're talking about today. Hey, ministry leader, thanks so much for being here this week. You may have a creative team at your church or ministry, and there's just not enough of them to carry the load of making all the graphics and videos that every ministry of your church may need. In fact, that was me. I worked on a church staff of a church of about 25 to 30,000 people on a Sunday across multiple campuses, and I was it. I was the only guy who created content for the worship experience and other ministries in the church. We eventually hired one other person that would help me make some of the graphics and video content, but we were still completely overloaded. And that's where Church Visuals started, really, is out of a heart to serve other churches who either had no creative team on staff or their designers and video producers were completely overloaded. It was a vision of mine to help other churches and ministries that didn't have that. And so what we found, interesting enough, is we thought we would serve more small churches. But what we found is we've served a lot of large churches and ministries as well, because everybody seems to be in the same boat, that there's so many visual media needs that it's hard to keep up. So it's better to keep your current staff, if you have any, and also have a freelance team like Church Visuals to come alongside you and help you with that. Or if you have no creative team on staff, we can be that for you. And we would love to come alongside you. Again, we've served dozens of churches and large ministries with a full ready-made media library, custom graphics and video, and a full training platform with podcasts like this one, that most of the resources are completely free for you there, all to help you visually communicate the gospel. All right, remember, we are on a journey here in this season of the podcast. If you missed episodes of this show, they're not really tied together. You can watch them individually as standalone episodes if you want to, but they do kind of build on each other throughout the season. So if you want to catch up, you can go to churchvisuals.com, find our podcast there, and all the archive episodes leading up to this one are right there for you. And on this season so far, we've talked about how the Bible was visual, the history of creativity through church history, why you should use visual media, where to start if you don't have any screens at your church at all, and more. The last few episodes of the show, we've been diving into what presentation software you can use to present your visuals at your church. And this week, we are reviewing another great presentation software on the market, and that is MediaShout. So we've talked about how to use ProPresenter and Easy Worship, and this week we're talking about MediaShout. So we'll talk about how to use the software, the benefits and features, a general review, and more. So we'll dive into all of that right after this. Are you looking for reliable printing for your visuals? Well, check out our friends at Outreach.com. As a preferred printing partner for over 20,000 churches worldwide, they have everything you need. From postcards to banners to mailers, Outreach is here to help you reach more with custom printing. Your visuals matter because your message matters. Make your message stand out with Outreach.com. Hey guys, today as we take a deeper look at MediaShout, I welcome Dave Fry. Dave is the Director of Product Development and Senior Technician at MediaShout. No better person to talk to about the software than the head of development and the writer of the software itself. So you're going to hear straight from Dave. He's also going to share an overview of MediaShout and see if the software is a great fit for you and your church as you are presenting the gospel in your context. Here is my conversation with Dave Fry. Mr. Dave Fry, how you doing, man?
I'm doing well.
So this episode, it's fitting that this episode's going to come out around Christmas because you are preparing right now for the dressing up as the big guy, right?
Yeah, it's the busy season. I often, if I'm discussing this in any kind of public forum, I give a disclaimer. It's like if there's any children around who believe in a certain large, rotund gentleman in a red suit, you might want to turn the audio off or stop the video so we don't dispel any happy memories. But no, actually, I can show you a little bit there. There's me and our late CEO, Eric Idle,
Nice.
and my wife and his mom at our Christmas party. So yes, I actually, I am a Santa Claus.
How many years have you been doing it?
I've been doing this about 5 years. I have a friend who worked for the company that I work for, and she's like, "You should try it." I've got a big beard, and so she's like, "Yeah, give it a shot." So dip my toe in the water, and it was fun.
Bringing cheer to all, Mr. Dave.
Yes. And I like to think, too, as a believer, as somebody who has the spirit, of God in me, that it provides kind of a little bit different vibe to it than things. And I hear from parents like, oh, my kid would never take a picture with any other Santa. He'll get a picture with you. And so, hopefully I can provide a safe environment, a safe experience for kids.
Yeah. So. Well, awesome, man. I know it's a ministry for you, so good job.
It is.
All right. Speaking of that, tell me a little bit about your ministry background and experience, and then what led you to MediaShout.
Well, I tell people I've been going to church since before I was born, so I kind of grew up in a church environment and started running sound in my early teens and through my teens. And so I was involved in that and involved in music and performing. And so I went off to Moody Bible Institute and studied there and hung out with the people in communications and the broadcast network. And I switched to be a communications major. And so I did that for a little while and until I was a terrible student and ended up leaving, but I learned an awful lot, and so I've always been into media and communication and sound and photography and visuals. And so that kind of brought me to Nashville, actually, for the music business, to be a recording engineer, and things morphed into studio tech work. And then eventually I saw a job listing for MediaShout, and I was running MediaShout at my church. So I was on praise team and involved in worship ministry. And so I was helping out with them running MediaShout. That was back in version 3 era, a long, long time ago. And I thought, wow, that would be a good company to work for. And so I got on board. So,
and how long have you been?
The rest is history. It's been,
how long have you been there?
Yeah, I was just going to say it's been 14 and a half years.
Wow. Okay, so let me take you back before MediaShout for you. In the music industry, what was the craziest music experience that you had?
Wow. There's a lot of opportunities for that one. Some that were just personal failures. I tried to do a live recording one time and it was a total bomb. So stressful. And I was trying to get everything together at the last minute. It didn't work. We've done some, I worked on some custom projects for artists who really believed that they were, called to the ministry, and they were good. They were talented, but the whole time you're working on the project, you're like, I hope you have a lot of friends and relatives to buy these. But no, they were very sweet people, and we had a lot of fun making them some recordings. So,
and you're about
working
to name
anything
names,
really
right?
huge. Yeah, no, I did have the opportunity though to because of the people I was working with, who were really good friends with Donna Summer and Steve Winwood and a bunch of other people, to work with them and their families and get to know them a little bit. So that's fun. Yeah. They're very nice people. So.
Great. Awesome. All right. So let's get back on track here. MediaShout. What's your role there? And has it morphed over the years, or have you been in the same role all 14 years?
No, I don't know that I could handle staying in the same role for 14 years. I like to change. And I actually have multiple roles. The first 5 years I was in support and sales. And so I was on the phone pretty much constantly in those years. And we sell computer systems, bundles. And so I moved into shipping and handling those systems, as well as being the senior tech. So I get the most difficult calls and issues that other representatives can't solve. So I still do that. I'm still the senior tech. And then a few years ago, our director of development was leaving. And so I got asked to step in and step into that role. And so that is probably 50 to 60% of my job. And so I'm director of development. I handle product fulfillment for any of our physical orders, and I'm a senior tech.
What's your favorite part of getting to do what you do?
Oh, doing something different all the time. It is probably the development, because I love being able to improve things. I mean, it's fun to design new things, and I like that, but really my strength is taking things that are there and making them better, looking at it and saying, if we move this over there, or we change this control, or we did this in a different order, it would just be a lot smoother and simpler for customer. And troubleshooting. I'm a natural troubleshooter of just about anything in life, cars, electronics, whatever, computers. So I like troubleshooting. Every now and then, if I have like dents in my forehead, it's from problems I couldn't solve, but beating my head against the wall. But no, troubleshooting is good, and getting to a resolution of a problem. Having an issue with the software and testing it and trying all these different techniques and trying to figure out why is it doing what it's doing wrong, and then solving it. The moment where you solve it and you're like, oh, that's what we need to fix. Okay, now I understand. It's just rewarding. I'm kind of weird that way. So probably most people would commit hara-kiri or something, but I do enjoy it.
Great. Okay, so I want to kind of dive into some basics of MediaShout. So in this podcast, we're kind of taking people on a journey from kind of elementary of how do I accomplish the basics when it comes to presenting high quality visuals or visually communicating the gospel to my church or ministry. So I really would love us to kind of cover some of the basics of the software. So why don't you kind of give us a general overview, especially in your expertise and experience as the developer and senior tech and all of that. Tell us maybe where we can find it, how we can download it. What's kind of a general overview of the software?
Well, first place to go for any information about us is just MediaShout.com. The website will provide you pretty easy links to any of the information you're looking for about the features. And if there's a download link, you can download a free trial and use it. And that's fully functional, so you can use it. The only thing it doesn't have is all of the Bibles. It does have some public domain Bibles, but that's the first place to go for more information. And we can do a walkthrough. You want me to pull up my screen?
Yeah, please do.
Okay, let's do that. Let me share.
While you're pulling that up, this is you do have Windows and Mac versions, right?
Yes, we do.
So you're Windows only for 7. You're in MediaShout 7. So
yes.
Windows only for 7, and Mac and Windows for 6. Is that right?
Mac for 6. We don't generally sell version 6 for Windows simply because we've replaced it. So,
gotcha.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Technically, it's still available if you really wanted it, but version 7 is actually so much better.
Yeah.
And we'd love to have a Mac version of it. It's just it's that thing called COVID came up right.
Yeah.
After we released this, or shortly after, and so it kind of threw business plans for a loop. But but we love Macs, and I tell people I was using Macs way before it was cool. So you can thank me for supporting Apple through those difficult years.
Yeah.
Okay. But what I've pulled up,
dive in here.
What I pulled up is the first thing that you see when you launch the software. We're going to land you on a welcome screen and give you the opportunity to do a number of different things. You can create a script. You can open an existing script and there's some links to support tools, things like that. We're also going to show you presentations you've already opened. There will be thumbnails for up to 10 things here. And we start you off with a couple, kind of a generic service sample script and an introduction. The introduction script is kind of like a mini tutorial. So if you open that up and kind of just read through the items in there, you'll learn about the software. So I'm going to open up the service sample script, and while that's happening, I will share a little bit of terminology because I think it's really important that we all speak the same language, and it really helps ease the communication. Our documents, our main documents, what your presentation is called in MediaShout, it's called a script, and we take that from the theater world, where you have a document that just describes and defines everything that's going to happen. Everything that's in that script is called a cue. There's dialogue cues in plays and lighting cues and sound effects cues and a lot of other things, but they're all called cues. And that's what we call the individual elements of our script. On this screen, you see the script is on the left-hand side, and I've got some visuals. I've got our logo in there, and then I've got some announcements. What's unique about MediaShout is that our cues can be one page, like this logo cue, or they can be multiple pages. So this song, this cue for Holy, Holy, Holy is all the pages. But what's nice about that is that it is all those pages are kind of grouped together in that cue structure. And if you need to delete a song, you don't have to go, okay, I need to shift click or control click and make sure I select all the pages like you would have to do in something like PowerPoint, where they're just all slides, not grouped together. You can just select the song and delete it or do whatever. There's certain things, certain attributes about a cue that are common to that cue. And so, like the background, for example. So that's the basic terms. Your script is made up of cues. Cues are made up of pages. And so as you get started with it, obviously the first thing I would do if I was opening the software is I'd look at the script that's there. One of the key things we talk about is when you want to get something to the screen, you fire it. And so you can fire something simply by double clicking on it. You can use the little button. There's a blue button on the cue. There's a blue button on the actual page. And then you'll see it over here in the viewers. So we have the viewers for the main display and the stage display. So in addition to the terms for the script itself and cues, MediaShout is designed to use up to 3 outputs from your computer. If you're not used to using multiple screens on a computer, that can at first be a little complicated and convoluted, but we can help you through that. But obviously one of them that we're looking at right now is what we would call the control display, because that's where you control everything. And the main point of running MediaShout is to output a presentation for an audience. And so that's the main display. And so that's what you see over here on the upper right. And optionally, if you do have a third output from your computer, you can use a stage display. Now, a stage display is going to be designed for the people on the stage, and it's often referred to as a confidence monitor. And that's optional. You don't have to use that. In fact, if you're not using it, you can just show the next thing coming up in sequence in the viewers. But the stage display is kind of handy. I'm going to flip over and fire a lyric cue, so you can see that on the stage display, it would typically just be text on a black background. So it's just something simple to read at a glance as a reference if you're on stage. So that's really helpful. And having been on praise teams and sung, you get a mental block sometimes and you're like, what is the next line? Oh my goodness. Until you glance down. And one of the nice things about the stage display is it will show you at the bottom of the screen the first line of the next page. So even if the person firing the cues is a little bit slow on the trigger, you can glance down to the very bottom line and see what's coming up next. And at the top, it's showing you what page you're on. But again, that's totally optional. Let's see. Any other questions?
Yeah, kind of take me to the ribbon bar, and kind of walk me through that.
Yeah. The ribbon at the top is going to be the place where you get content to put into your script. So I'm going to create a new script, and you can do that, of course, in the file menu and new. That's pretty typical, but there's also a little plus button right there at the top. And so I'm going to press that, and I will create a blank script. Now you'll notice that some of the things in the ribbon kind of grayed out, and that's because those are individual objects and there's nothing to put them in yet. We haven't created a cue. And so we need to create a cue, either a blank cue which can be just about anything, a lyric queue, which pulls from our built-in lyrics database, Bible queue, or just a text queue. So I'm going to create a blank queue. Blank queue is kind of the most flexible. I'll just leave the name. At any point in time, if you decide to change the name, just click on the name in the queue, and you can say, you know what, I decided I want this to be an announcement. And so it's an announcement now. And now I can add content to it. You'll notice as soon as I have a queue, then I have objects that I can put into it. I can put in a text object or a media file of some kind. And we do have more advanced features like NDI and a few other things there. So, but we're going to keep it simple today. So I can insert a text box, and it's going to show up there in the screen. That dummy text stays there until you type something into it, just so that if you created a whole bunch of text boxes, you'd actually be able to see them and you would know they were there. You can also switch to the layers view, and you'll be able to see all the different objects in layers that are part of that queue. So, you know what? I'm just going to say, this is my awesome queue. There we go. We'll be very creative. So I've got a text box. Now I might want a background, and you'll notice in the layers list, there's a background button. I can go to that, and I can set a color. If I just want like a color for a background, I could do that. In my case, I might want an image or a video, and so I can browse and pick something. For my case, I want to go to images, and I'll just pick this neon green thing. There you go. And there are some settings there. You can change the opacity of it. Maybe you want to make it somewhat translucent, dim it down. You can change the brightness and contrast, grayscale it. Grayscale is kind of handy sometimes, sepia. You got some options. Save the changes, and you're there. If you ever go to the background tab and you make some changes and you're like, I don't like that, just hit the close button, and that'll not affect what you have. So there's a few things. Now you can add more things. Like I have a library tab over here, and the library will allow you to choose images or videos or even audio files. And what I love is you can just go here and drag and drop on things. So I'm going to use one of yours. You know what? I'm just going to take my text box and shrink it down and just drag it down here. I'm going to take your Happy New Year graphic. This is mixed mode. Probably isn't going to look very good. We'll see. There you go. There. And so you can just add all the objects that you want. There you go. Since this is coming out kind of around Christmas, we'll put some Christmas things in there. There we go. Drag in another thing. Now that one actually scaled up to full size. If you ever want to scale something, there are handles. They're kind of small in the corners. Let's scale that to, let's go to original. Nope. Oh, that's actually a really big picture. Carl, high resolution. Very nice. Yeah, scale to fit. And then I'm going to grab that box in the corner and bring it down. By the way, if you hold down Shift while you're scaling something, it will keep the proportions. If you let go of Shift, you can skew it out of proportion, which sometimes you want to do, but quite often you don't. And so you can have multiple objects, and you can move them forward and backward. We got buttons to put one in front of the other or behind the other, things like that. Like that. So you can drag and drop. You can do all of this from Windows Explorer as well. So if you're in Explorer and you just have a folder open with all your pictures and things, you can just drag them in that way as well. Or if you have a video, for example, let me see. I've got one here that I downloaded from your site. It's the mini movie. Well, there's a countdown. Let's put a countdown in. I'm going to put that in. If I start dragging this around the screen, it's going to give me some clues on the screen to tell me what's going to happen. If I drag it into the queue itself, into the edit area, which is what this is in the middle, it's going to add it as an object. If I drag it over to the script, it's going to create a single page queue. If I drag it over top of another queue, it's going to change the background for that queue. So I just want to drop it into the script, and then I can fire it. And you'll see that playing. So stop that. There we go. So you can create cues that way. Yeah.
Sorry. Talk to me about the presenter and editor view toggle up there in the top right-hand area.
Yes. So this is the edit view, and this is where you're going to go to create any content. And you, like I've been doing, you can fire things from here. You can present from here. But if you want a view that's kind of dedicated to just showing you the content you have created, and this is particularly useful if you have a volunteer come in and they don't maybe know the entire software, you can get somebody up and running in presenter view in just a minute or two. And just say, all you need to do is double click on something that you want to see here in the middle. It's just going to show you thumbnails of those. In fact, I'm going to switch over to the other script so you can see something that has a bunch of cues already created. And so you can see that you can just double click on the logo, and that is going to fire. Let me see. There we go. So those are on screen, and I don't have my screens on. There we go. But I'll leave them off. And then you can hit the spacebar and just spacebar advance through it if you want. But at any point in time, if you need to jump ahead, back, whatever, you can just double click on something and it fires it to the screen. So you can still see your script. So if you need to navigate ahead, something further down, jump way ahead, you can do that. You can also scroll in this window. And I like to zoom this in a little bit so that I can see those lyrics. My eyes are getting a little bit old, and so I like to be able to read them bigger.
So Santa Claus eyes.
Yeah, really. I need those readers. Yeah. And so for somebody who's just coming in to run a presentation, and that's a really common scenario in churches, they've got somebody, hey, I can volunteer to be there Sunday, and hit the space bar. This is a great mode for them because they can just see everything that's there, and you can't edit in this mode. You can't change anything. You don't have to worry about them like, oh my goodness, they deleted everything. It's safe. But if you're creating things, you're going to want to be over in edit view.
Right, and you can easily toggle that on and off. So you're going to basically unlock it, edit, and then lock it back. That's basically what we're doing there. Okay. Yep. Talk to me more about the editor. What all can I do inside of there? What are some of the features inside the editor?
There are a lot of things you can do. You'll see in the toolbar, of course, we have the ribbon bar at the top, but the toolbar shows up when you have an object selected, and it'll show tools that are appropriate for that particular object. I've got text box, so I've got all the common text controls that are there for my font and size and all that, color. But you also have the parameters of that object. It's X, Y coordinates, width and height, angle. In fact, if you put your cursor at the corner of a box, you can rotate it, and you can actually see that angle update up there. One of the things I like about version 7 is that you can undo multiple layers. You can undo a lot of layers. I don't know what the exact number is, and maybe it varies, but you can undo many, many, many steps and then redo. So if you get down a rabbit hole of making changes, you're like, oh no, 10 things ago, I shouldn't have done that. Just start hitting undo, and it will very likely undo everything back to where you were, which I love. Some of our previous versions wouldn't do that. You'd have to go back to a reverted save. But one of the things that you can do that's really convenient, there's two things actually. One, we have templates. And so if you say, you know what, I want a completely different look, you can click on templates, and there are a collection of templates that we include with the software, but you can save things on your own. So maybe I choose basic blue lyrics. I just double clicked on it to apply it. And so it's there. Now I have a different look for this cue, but you're like, you know what? I want my font size to be bigger most of the time. So I'm going to make that font size a little larger. Let's go up to 48 point. But I want that to always be my template. So you can go down to templates and you can save as, and you can create your own template. So you can modify any of these, or you can create any kind of content that you want and then save that as a template. And so it's really easy to apply that. And you can also set a default template. Now for lyrics, the default template is really handy because when you go in to insert a new lyric, it's going to automatically use the template that you have set as default when you choose a song. So if I go in here and we'll choose a Christmas hymn since it's Christmas.
There you go.
And so maybe I do want that in red to go with Christmas. You can just double click on any of these templates that are here, and apply those. And once you have it looking like you want, let's just do verse 1 and 3. Then I'm going to take out verse 2 and insert lyrics. And so that is going to add that to my script. It's going to leave the window open because I might want to add multiple songs. It is important to note in this window that you have an arrange mode where I can take stanzas out and it just affects what I'm inserting. But I also have an edit mode. I don't want to save that yet. I have an edit mode where I can go in and change things. I can go in and add new songs. I can delete a song. If I hit the X button here, because I'm in edit mode, it'll just delete verse 3, which maybe you want to do. Maybe you've got a song, it's got an extra part you don't want, and you can add any of these types of stanzas into it when you're in edit mode. And what's really cool is, and it's probably not used as often, but fire mode. Say you're in a situation, I've been in services where they have kind of a suggestion time, like, hey, can we sing Amazing Grace? Well, you can go to fire mode and you can just go to search and say amazing. It helps if you don't type Amazon. Amazing, and pull up Amazing Grace, and I've got it on the screen that fast.
Yeah.
And I can use the space bar, advance through it. I can scroll over and double click on previews, but you can fire something from the library very, very quickly. And so those are the 3 modes that are helpful to know about in lyrics.
What about you were showing me backgrounds some, but show me maybe transitions between the foreground transitions and background transitions and how backgrounds work.
Yeah, over on the very right-hand side, they kind of get lost sometimes, but we have some plugins. And so one of them is an audio player, and there's some more advanced fire control things. But the transitions are over there. And if you select that, then you can select your text box, select your object, and you can apply a transition to individual objects. So maybe you want this text box to, like, if you're very want a simple effect, you can do a dissolve, and probably about a half-second dissolve works really well. And then you can take that transition, you can apply it to all the objects on this page if I'm in objects mode. I can also switch over to pages mode, and I can apply a transition to the pages, and so which will affect all of the objects on the page. So for a dissolve, I probably would want to do it on a page level. And I could do it for all the pages in the queue, or if you really like this half-second dissolve and you want everything in your script to have that half-second dissolve, you can choose all pages in the script, and it will apply a half-second dissolve between every page. And so you'll have that transition very quickly applied to everything that you're doing. So really, really easy to do. So I'll just apply that and move that over. In fact, when I fire this now, it doesn't show up as well in the viewer, but you can see that it is dissolving that text.
So while we're still in a screen share, show me a couple of new things in 7 that you guys are excited about.
One of them is the sermon builder, and this is something what I'm going to show you now. No one has ever seen before, unless we've released it before this airs. We created a tool. We wanted to make creating scripts easier in general. Particularly pastors oftentimes don't have time to learn a lot of software, and so we wanted a tool that would allow them to jump right in and very easily enter something like their sermon notes. And so we created the sermon builder tool. And so I'm going to open that up, and it's going to step you through very quickly what you want to put in your sermon. So you hit create, you put in your title. I actually have some notes off to the side. I'm going to try to do this and just copy and paste really quick. I'm going to say next. It wants your points. So I'm going to put in a couple points here and add that. And Jesus is the truth, and I'll add that. And Jesus is the life, and I'll add that. And then you hit next, and then it's going to say what Bible references do you want? Because we have a built-in library of Bible translations, and we include those with the software. So depending on which license you get, you'll get either all the public domain ones or like 70, which includes most of the common translations people like to use. So I'm going to put in a couple of those, do that really quick. I want to put in that one, and let's just do this one, and we'll call it a day there. Add that. Next, now I can pick a theme. Now what's new is we added 6 more themes, and we also are working on the ability for the user to modify these themes. Previous to this point, these themes were fixed and they were kind of literally hard coded into the software, but now you will be able to, at some point soon, edit these to your liking. So I'll pick the sermon title that's over here, that theme, and hit next, and then it will show you kind of what they look like, and you can preview those. So you can also drag and drop. So I want to move these things around. I want that to be my first Bible reference. I want this one to be the second one, and I'll leave that bottom one down there, the third. There we go. And then I can do 2 things. I can either create, and that's going to make me a script, a separate script, or I can just hit add. And if I hit add, that's going to add that to the script that I have open. That's a new feature. So we've made some things, done some things to make it easier to use. And so now as I go through this, I have something, I don't know how many minutes that took, and I was talking through it, so it took longer than it normally would have. But I have something that's ready to present right now, and I can move on through that presentation. So yeah, really easy to get your content in there. And the nice thing is it's completely editable. These are just text boxes. You can go in if you need to highlight things or bold, or maybe pull out a section of it. You could, because you're focusing on the other half of the verse, things like that, change the backgrounds. It's completely editable content, but it just is a wizard that speeds you through getting it into the software easily. So that can save you a lot of time.
Yeah. That's a great new feature, man. Good stuff. Okay. Kind of wrap us up here. So where can I go if I want to get some help on the software? You've done a great job of giving us a good overview, but if I'm a MediaShout user already, or if I'm thinking about it, where can I go to get some help with the software if I need it?
Yeah, go to our website first, and then you'll see links to a variety of resources. We do have training options. We have a Plus membership, which is a subscription membership for premium support, but it's way more than that. It actually includes monthly media packs that we include, and training opportunities that are part of that subscription. But we also have a knowledge base, and the knowledge base is a really useful part of our website, where you can go and type in a keyword search, and find a variety of topics of information about how to do certain things. There's how-tos, there's how to solve problems, configure the software, things like that. And the knowledge base is a really powerful resource that is very helpful to a lot of customers. So
good. All right, last question for you. How is it important, or how important is it to present high quality visuals in my church? Why do your visuals matter?
Why do your visuals matter? Yes. Well, I mentioned that I was a communications major, and in Communications 101, one of the things that struck me, and honestly, the few things that I remember from the class a very, very long time ago, was the concept of noise. And so in our society culture, we think of noise audibly, like, oh, if you say noise, well, it's sound. But noise in a communication channel is anything that really distracts from your message being communicated effectively. So the example I use is a TV commercial, and you see it and it's really cool, and you remember that commercial because it's so funny. And then someone says, what was the commercial for? I don't know.
Yeah.
And the content was the noise, because it distracted you from remembering the point of the commercial, which was to remember that company and that product. And so anything in that happens in your presentation, that, lyrics that don't come up on time, that's a pet peeve. And I think we've talked about that before. That's a big thing. Lyrics that keep moving around the screen, the positions change, the fonts change, the colors change. Just distractions pull people out of the moment. They pull them out of a worship environment. And if you do it well, if you actually present your content well, it's best when no one knows you're there. They just came in and they saw everything they needed on the screen. It was communicated to them. They felt like they could participate and learn. and focus, and nothing really pulled them out of that moment. That's just really, really critical, because there's so many. We live in a culture that's just full of distraction, and so the distractions pull us away too easily. So,
yeah. Awesome, man. This has been great. I love the overview, and I love one thing I really appreciate about you guys. I've told you this before, is your tech support and customer service. You guys are really there for people, and it's not like a company that's far away. You guys are real people helping people do ministry well. So good job on that. And man, thank you for all that you do for the kingdom. Again, MediaShout.com for those interested in the software. If you're a beginner looking to see if this is a good fit for your church, MediaShout.com is where to go. Dave, man, thank you so much. Really appreciate your time, and thanks for your friendship, man.
Absolutely. And yours as well.
Hey, ministry leaders, Jake Mozart here from the Church Visuals team. I serve as a ready-made creative director. I just wanted to encourage you that you are doing a great job, and don't grow weary in doing good. Your work for the kingdom matters. How you communicate the gospel matters, and that's why we take such great care in helping you present God's word with high-quality visuals. It's a pleasure to serve you as you serve your community. Your visuals matter. We're with you. We're praying for you. Keep up the great work.
Hey friends, as we wrap this week's episode, here's your church visuals tip of the week. Use MediaShout if it's right for your church. I've had the privilege of knowing members of the MediaShout team. They are super relational, very attentive to the needs of their users, especially if you are a PC house at your church. MediaShout could be a great solution for your church in presenting your church visuals. All right, well, subscribe to our YouTube channel if you would, hit that like button. And you can also see all the episodes of this podcast and all of our podcasts and courses at churchvisuals.com. If you want to reach the people you want to reach for Jesus, your visuals matter. I'll see you next week. Your Visuals Matter has been a podcast presentation of Church Visuals. Executive produced by Carl Barnhill. Edited by AJ Schubert. Title and show graphics by Angie Lomas. For more resources to help you visually communicate the gospel, visit churchvisuals.com.